To finish up with these windows or skylights, it might be helpful to just draw in. Now remember, this was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wide, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're lucky. We don't have to put the other one in. But it might be helpful just to indicate that this is window. From that blue line to this blue line is window. And the same is true over here. So we do have our angle, a nice angle. We look at our elevation for this wall. Our refrigerator is going to be 2 feet, our built-in. We already know we got our 7 feet, so I'm just going to bring this forward now. And again, you keep using your vanishing points. You want to make sure that everything is jiving together. So that didn't come out maybe as far as we might have thought, but it's how we're looking at it. We're not facing this side. It's beginning to turn away from us. And I can go back to this side now. And I am freely crossing my corners so that I get a little bit of accuracy, and because too, I just don't know. I have no idea where these are going to end. So you give yourself enough. Sometimes if you don't, then there's nothing for the next perspective line to meet with, and it's confusing. So if you're confused, it means you either don't have a vertical up that you need, or you haven't extended a line far enough. So this cabinetry now, it's goes down 2 feet, and if I look at the other elevation, I go down 2 feet. There's this bar. It's within the 2 feet, so that I have a full 5 feet for my refrigerator. So I could do this a couple of different ways. One of the preferred methods, though, is always to rely on the wall. So my closest wall. So here I have 5 feet. I'm bringing that over. There's 5 feet against the wall, and I just have to bring this to the front, the 5 feet. And remember that there was that little bit of, I think it's a chrome detail there that we can use at the front of this. And the fridge itself is not as wide as this, so we put already this to help show that. And we've got it on the other side as well. And the fridge needs a little bit of clearance at the top. And to find the center, it's always helpful, and that's a good thing to have on this diagram as well. It's helpful to make an X, just so that you're sure that you've got the right amount of foreshortening. The grid is reliable too, but this is, if you're a little off on your grid, then this will make sure that all of that makes sense. And put in our vertical. And this refrigerator opens at the front. It has 2 doors. This is 1.5 feet right here on the wall, because this cabinetry is right against the wall. So I'm going to bring that forward. Now this decision, we have to look at what it looks like on the front. Make sure you're choosing the corner that is the actual front. But we'll just try 1.5, and if you don't like it, you can do the 2 feet. So this comes across the refrigerator right here. And the cabinetry at the top is also split in the middle, so we can bring this center line up to the top. We won't bother with any of the molding or the just yet. We'll save that for our detailing. The countertop itself is 3 feet high. So we can start that right against the wall here. 1, 2, 3. That's a standard measure. But now with people becoming taller, you will see quite often that this will become 38 inches. So that's something to keep an eye on. Now I didn't go far enough. See, here was an instance of not going far enough. We're drawing through always. We go right through. We don't stop. We go right through things in order to understand other things. So now this is our 2 feet coming forward. This is what our 2 feet coming forward looks like here. It doesn't look like much. So I'm gonna go one other place that's a little bit farther away from the vanishing point. This is very close to the vanishing point. This is a little further away. So if I follow this back, go up the wall, here's my point. I'm going to bring this forward, and I'll have a more accurate perception of what the 2 foot width. This was just so shallow. It's not very helpful. Now I've got something that is a little more helpful here. It's also good to keep your pencils very sharp. This one I picked up a dull one. So you see, this looks quite different from what I had originally put down here, but I'm going to trust it. I think it's a little more accurate than the other. So I'm going to take this point up and this point up, and trying to keep it as straight as I can. And I only go 1.5 feet back. So if I have a perspective line for my sink, I can bring the bottom up, and that will give me the 1.5 feet that I'm looking for, as long as it's straight. So there we are. There's our 1.5 feet, and we can check it on the other side. And again, this other side is less distorted, so it's actually more accurate than the one that's closer to. Okay, and this is the point where you would bring your tap across. And you'd make a little box for your taps. So, as we're going to have the sort that makes a little, that's curved. So if I, make a little box for this, I can put my curve inside the little box. Oh, I don't want to go too high. It was a little too high. So I'll bring this down. I'm just estimating this, but then you see I can make the curve for my tap. That seems a little far out, so I can bring this in because it's probably in a little bit. Okay, so way too many lines for that, but we'll make do. When we ink it in black, that's when you correct anything that you were working with in terms of pencil crayon. You can now begin to correct and leave out what are unimportant lines. To go across to our other side is quite easy. We've got everything up that we need to inform us about this side, other than how far to go. So E is the cabinetry on this side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And remember this as well. This is the end of E. So E is behind F, which is the island. Now, there is the question, should you do the island first and then do what's behind it, or I think though it's better if we do this first. There isn't a lot involved, so better to have that there and then be guessing about it when we start to pull our island up.